So we're going to look at the unit circle. So this is the unit circle here, and it goes from 0 degrees all the way back to 360 degrees. So we start at 0, so up here is going to be 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and then all the way back to 360 degrees. So it's a full circle, hence it being 360 degrees. Just to note, like the coordinates, I just have it here, the coordinates x and y, so what we're used to are represented as cosine of an angle and sine of an angle. Just keep note of that. I've also drawn in 4 little pieces of information that are quite important. These letters here, C-A-S-T. A way to remember these is just cast, so it starts in the bottom left or bottom right, C-A-S-T. And basically what this determines is what is positive in each of these quadrants. So in C, cosine is positive. So if you have a sine of an angle, you have to find a sine of an angle down here, the angle is going to be negative, or a tan of an angle, they're going to be negative. In A, all are positive. So sine, cosine and tan are all positive. And this will make a bit more sense when we start doing questions on it, but just I want to highlight it to you first. In S, only sine is positive. So cosine and tan aren't obviously positive there. And then finally, you probably can tell yourself at this stage, tan is positive in T. So remember C-A-S-T. Okay, so you could be asked to find the ratio of angles between 90 and 360 degrees. And if you look in your log tables on page 13, you'll have something similar to this. It's not the exact same now, but something similar to this table. So if they ask us to find the ratio of angles, and say the angles are 30, 45, 60, 90, 180, 270 and 360, the ones that are just highlighted here in the box, we can use the log tables to help us to use them, okay, or to find them. But sometimes they might ask you to find tan of 46 degrees or something like that, and you can't use the tables for that. So I just want to show you how you'll do so. So we've 4 steps to do so. So the first thing they'd advise that you do is draw a rough sketch of the angle and see exactly where it lies. So in order to do so, you're going to have to draw your unit circle. Draw a unit circle, say, and they say the angle 170 degrees. Well, we should know that 170 degrees, so this is 0, this is 90, this is 180, so it's going to lie between it's going to lie between 90 and 180, so the angle is going to be somewhere like that. And that's what we mean by drawing a rough sketch of it. Right, so draw a rough sketch of it. Use your CAST to determine the sine, so we just explained that a moment ago. And find the reference angle, and this is the angle given between the given angle and the x-axis, and I'll show you what that means, because the reference angle is very important to be able to find. This determines your answer. And then finally, use your log tables to evaluate the ratio. Okay, so following these steps, I'm going to try to find the cosine of 120 down here. So my first step is to draw the unit circle. I just copied or pasted the diagram in, so 120. So if I'm going to draw the angle on a rough sketch, so we'll say, right, there's to 90, and there we'll say there is 120. So it's only rough. So that's my angle there. Use CAST to determine the sine. So I'm going to put in my C goes here, A goes here, S goes here, T goes here. The fact that it was cos, but look at the quadrant it's in S's quadrant, which means only sine was positive in that quadrant. So cos, so my answer is going to be negative. I know that straight away. Okay, so I have step 1 done, step 2 done. Find the reference angle. Okay, so the reference angle, we said the angle between the angle between the given angle and the x-axis, right? So I'm just going to zoom in for this. So we want to find the reference angle. So to here was 180 degrees, and to here or to there, sorry, that angle there was 120 degrees. And the x-axis in this case is 180 degrees, because that's what our formula said. It said the angle between the given angle and the x-axis. So the angle between the given angle and the x-axis in this case is 60 degrees. So that's our reference angle. Our reference angle in this case is 60 degrees. So now, if we look at our log tables, so we couldn't find 120 in our log tables because it didn't exist on our log tables. But now we have cosine of 60 degrees because we're now using our reference angle. So if we come over here, so here's 60 degrees and here's cosine of 60 degrees, which is 1 over 2. But we have to remember that we said it was going to be negative as it lay in S's quadrant. So our answer is -1/2. And that's how we find the ratio, without using a calculator. So. Right, so I'm going to do 3 more of these just to give you the idea. But they're not overly complicated once you follow the steps. I think the hard part is kind of remembering the steps to follow. So if we go sine of 240, so our first step we said was draw the angle roughly. So 240, so we know this is 270 down here, this is 180, so we know we're going to lie within them 2 quadrants. So we'll say about here, roughly. That's 240 degrees. Okay, so draw a rough sketch, and now let's use CAST to see where it lies. So let's draw on our CAST. So CAST. So this was sine, but unfortunately, like 240 lies within T's quadrant, so we know it's going to be negative again. So sine of 240. So our next step is to find the reference angle, and we said the reference angle has to be found by finding the angle between the given angle. So our given angle was 240, and the x-axis. The x-axis here was 180. So our angle here is going to be 60. So again, our reference angle is 60. So we're going to have sine of 60, and we know it's like negative sine of 60. So we come to our log tables, we go to 60, and we look for sine of 60. So sine of 60 is root 3 over 2, and it was negative. So that's our ratio for the given angle, minus root 3 over 2. Next one, so hopefully they're getting a little bit easier for you now. So tan of 315. So step 1, draw our angle. So we know this is 270 here, we know this is 360, so we know we're going to lie within there. So we'll go here, 315 degrees. Let's determine if it's positive or negative. So CAST. So C is positive in the quadrant we're in, so tan isn't, so it's negative again. And it won't always be negative. I know all these examples I'm giving at the moment are negative, but that won't always be the case. Next thing we have to do is find the reference angle. So the reference angle lies from the angle between the given angle and the x-axis. So this time our reference angle is 45 degrees. So we're trying to find the tan of 45 degrees, and we know it's negative. So back to our log tables, and we go to 45. So here, and the tan of 45 is 1. So instead of 1, we have negative 1. And finally our last one, the sine of 300. So let's draw our angle in. So 180, 270, 300 about here. Determine if it's positive or negative. So CAST, it's sine, it's in the cosine quadrant, so it's negative. Let's find the reference angle, so the angle between the given angle and the x-axis. So we know the x-axis is 360, so between 360 and 300 and 360, our ref angle is 60 degrees.